What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. In today's video, we're taking a look at a fun shoutcast featuring Swalot here in the Great League Remix. Trainer Ebba Bear has sent in these battles for us to take a look at in shoutcast today. Thank you so much for sending in the battles. If you'd like to send in your own battles to the channel for shoutcasting, there is a Google Doc in the description and pinned comment that you can fill out to send in your battles. Without further ado, let's get into these battles. I just got back from my in-person Global Go Fest, and you can tell I'm sunburned. Sunscreen didn't help me, but that's all right. We're getting into the first battle here. We got an This is Great League, right? All right, we got Shadow XehrFelrose on the lead, and we're bringing in the Gligar. Do you think they know? Do you think they know? Please, 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 please. Oh, they shielded it. No. Oh, and they go for the screenshot and everything. Oh, the despair. I'm actually sad about this now. Well, No. Why are we going for Sludge Bomb? Go for the Ice Beam. Huh? I'm confused. So they're gonna. I don't understand. So Sludge Bomb. Oh, Sludge Bomb is less energy. That's why. Okay. Sludge Bomb is less energy than Ice Beam, so we're gonna be able to outpace the Gligar, surely. I'm still getting what I want. Oh, yes. Here we go. I'm ready. Oh, I'm so ready. There's this successful screenshot. It's beautiful. Oh, and we get the alignment that we need. Okay, we get the Registeel on, I guess you could put it on the Ferrothorn, but I mean, honestly, you just need to land one Focus Blast against the Ampharos, and we're pretty much chilling. Swalot here is just like, all right, I've done my job. Thunder isn't even going to knock it out, man. Thunder doesn't even knock it out. You can now put Registeel on the Ampharos quite safely. Let Mantine finish off the rest of the Ferrothorn, and we should be just chilling. Are we getting to another move? Oh, we're gonna get to another move. It was so close. And Registeel is gonna come in and start farming down. Honestly, this is more or less a lock on down here and just go for the win here. The opponent not gonna be able to do much more than throw a couple of charge moves, and even that is not going to put enough of a dent in this Registeel, because Ampharos comes in, and it doesn't matter if it gets to a move here, even though the chip damage did help, but this isn't going to be enough. A Brutal Swing, a Thunder Punch may have been enough here, but on charge attack priority, this Focus Blast is going to knock this Ampharos out. Never mind, no it doesn't, but we get so close that, the Mantine gets to finish the job. Thank goodness. I thought that was going to knock out. Good game. All right. Rolling right into the next game here. We got a Gallade on the lead. This is a good lead because Gallade is weak to flying and doesn't really have any effective way to hit back on the Mantine. The opponent's going to stay in, go for a Leaf Blade. 2 Leaf Blades is enough to just about knock out. Not quite, but we're going to have the Carbink come in, and Registeel is just going to come right in. Now, at this point, I think that this is probably the correct answer here. I was trying to think if maybe you bring in the Swalot, but because even the Sludge Bomb is neutral here, probably not a good idea to bring that in. But anyway, Swalot is in the back here. It's got the coverage of Ice Beam and Sludge Bomb is so unique. And Registeel, honestly, you could probably just destroy this Carbink, save the rest of the Registeel, and just safe swap into Swalot. I could see that being a thing that gets done here. We can just lock on down here. The opponent getting to only one more charge move, even if it's just a Moonblast, doesn't really matter here. And we're going to see what the opponent brings in after this, because that Registeel is still healthy. They come in with the Gallade, and they're going to... Ew! The Gallade was not at a move. That was not... You're not going to be able to get in quick enough to be able to take out this Mantine. Now, up shields, this Mantine can take care of the Gallade. But Swalot here has actual decent play into the Swalot, or into the Gallade, because of the fact that it has that poison typing. It does wall the Gallade's moveset as far as its charge moves. Now, here comes Empoleon. This is a little bit dicey. We don't have Water Pulse, so all the damage here is honestly... it's all resisted no matter what, even with Water Pulse. But Ice Beam, the harder hitting move, is single resisted. So we'll be able to go to this Aerial Ace here, and that's going to do some chip damage to this Empoleon before going down. Swalot could potentially come in and hit a move, but Registeel is going to need to be able to land a charge move or get the shield here for that to even become a thing. Now, Swalot's going to come in, trying to absorb the energy off of this Empoleon. The Registeel probably going to pop in at some point to get that final shield now that Swalot has absorbed 2 moves. I could definitely see Registeel coming in right here to get that next shield. Here it comes. Registeel's coming in, going for the Focus Blast. would have preferred to go for the Zap Cannon here, as they likely only let you get to one move, and you can go for the attack drop. Now, the opponent is going to be forced to throw energy here before they are going to be, before this Registeel gets to another move. So this is going to be a blocked Hydro Cannon. Can the opponent get to another move? They lock on down the Carbink, and oh, they left with a move. So they're going to be able to knock out this Registeel. Now it's all up to Swalot. Can it get to a move? Swalot going for the Ice Beam. Both moves are double resisted here because Steel completely double resists the poison, but that doesn't matter. Ice Beam is going to be enough here. We're going to take this game after the opponent closes their app. And now we get to move on to the next game. Very well played there. Good game. All right, we're getting into the next game here. We're going to have Pidgeot on the lead. This is where the Ice Beam comes in handy, and the entire team has play here. So it's up to the opponent what they'd like to do, but I don't reckon that they're going to do a Brave Bird and Dip strategy here, because even Mantine can handle it. Now, they might go for Brave Bird. Never mind. I'm incorrect. They go for the Brave Bird. They're going to be forced to put up the first shield here, which is absolutely fine with this Mantine because it can get to another move here. But the initial swap here immediately into Swalot, and the opponent brings in their double, and this is going to be fine entirely because this means that you're resisting the double kicks. Body Slam, I mean, Swalot's got some bulk to it. That thing can handle at least 2 or 3 body slams now. And that means that we're going to be able to see these Sludge Bombs go off. And even though, like, Swalot has bulk, but the Sludge Bombs don't hit that hard. Double is somewhat bulky. It's not the most bulky thing in the world, but it does enough to be able to, take some moves. But the Sludge Bomb won't even two-shot. We're going to need to get a farm down here. The opponent lets it go. They're fine just going down shields here. This could be a good farm down for the Swalot, though. And if Swalot can farm down, that Ice Beam is going to be a problem for the Pidgeot. Pidgeot's going to hard swap in, and it's about to get met by a Ice Beam and a Registeel, but the whole team is going to be very low at this point. Now, Registeel is going to come in. Opponent likely just goes for a Feather Dance here because the Registeel just swapped in, but I could definitely see them going for Brave Bird for the damage, so they're going to go for the Feather Dance. That's not lowering the amount of damage that the lock-ons are doing, Trainer. That doesn't matter. Now, I would have probably considered going for a shield, the Brave Bird, and lock on down, but that's okay. Now, the opponent's going to come in with their own Registeel, and this is a problem because Registeel has its attack debuffed by 2 stages, which means you are at least going to need 2 Focus Blast. You definitely need 2 Focus Blasts to knock out Registeel. Now, the thing is, because the opponent is down a shield, they're going to need to catch in order to equalize this matchup because you can simply shield twice here as the Registeel. The opponent completely mistimes the swap as the Registeel was not quite even at a move yet, and now we can go for Aerial Aces to chip away at the HP of the Registeel. This is pretty much a good game here. The opponent is going to be forced to throw some energy before the next Aerial Ace in order to not have to give up this final shield, and Evabear looks to force the opponent to do so by going for the potential Ice Beam here. Opponent going for that Focus Blast. They're going to drop in, go for the Focus Blast of their own, and now up his shield. They just need to get to 2 Focus Blasts, and because of the pacing of the Registeel mirror, they're going to be able to guarantee, and the opponent knows it, they're going to concede. That is a good game. Well played. All right, we're getting into the next game here. That's going to be Mantine into an Alolan Ninetales. Shadow, is it Charmer? A Weather Ball, or Weather Ball. Powder Snow is the right word I was looking for there. They are Charmed, so the Mantine is staying in. Now, technically, we do have 2 better answers in the back, so I would have liked to see the Swalot maybe safe swap in here. Now there's the Swalot safe swap. In it comes. The opponent going to stay in, go for that Psy Shock. If we swapped immediately, it would have meant that the Sludge Bomb could have been reached before the Psy Shock, but Psy Shock doesn't do quite enough damage. The opponent comes in with a Shadow Victory Bell. This is going to get a shield for sure, unless they don't know the moveset. Okay. Well, they're just going, bye. So switch advantage is now obtained. The opponent is not going to be able to farm down the resisted charms with the Swalot, being the poison typing that it is. The opponent's forced to shield now, and Registeel could come in and cause some damage here. Now, it does completely resist the charms, but even though resisted, Shadow Charms do add up. The opponent will have to throw a charge move, though, in order to do any more meaningful damage, unless they want to swap out. They're going to go for a Weather Ball, and then they're going to stay in and look to eat a Focus Blast, and that's totally fine, as Registeel is going to take that fighting nuke damage into this Alolan Ninetales. The opponent lets it go, and in comes Poliwrath. And the nice thing about this here, again, you gotta go for that Zap Cannon. The opponent's final Pokemon, they can't swap out. If you get a debuff, it's permanent, and that would have been ideal. And because You're still going to get to the Zap Cannon before they get to the move. You would have been able to get to that Zap Cannon before they get to this Icy Wind or even a Scald. So that was a pretty safe bet. But even now, Mantine up shields against Poliwrath. There's no question here that this matchup is going to be dominant for the Mantine. You could no shield this Icy Wind if you want to. But all we have to do is go for the wing attacks and the aerial ace. And that should be enough to knock out this Poliwrath from this range. That's going to be a good game here as Mantine closes out the game. Aerial ace doing enough damage to take out Poliwrath. Well played. All right, flopping into the next game. Steelix on the lead. This is not great because we have the Ice Beam, but the opponent doesn't know that. So let's see how Bear looks to play this matchup out, as Registeel is a very nice answer to the Shadow Steelix because of the fact that most of them don't run Earthquake. Swalot does okay, but if the opponent has Psychic Fangs, it could get really dicey really quick. Mantine's going to stay in. The opponent went for a Breaking Swipe right away to try and get that debuff, but they don't respect the Water Pulse. Now Swalot comes in immediately to test if the opponent has Psychic Fangs, and even if they do, Swalot's got the bulk to not really care about it. Psychic Fangs is the moveset here. The opponent comes in with Poliwrath. Now, the thing about Poliwrath, though, these fighting type counters are resisted by the poison typing. Swalot with that Sludge Bomb, able to two-shot the Poliwrath potentially. Opponent's going to go for a charge move on charge attack priority, and they do have the higher attack stat on the Poliwrath as the and charge attack priority, for those who are unaware, is it's decided by the base stats of the Pokemon. So Poliwrath's base attack stat, not the IV, but just like its own base attack of the actual Pokemon itself, is higher than the base attack of the Swalot. So now the opponent is running an 8. They're running Steelix, Carbink. Oh, this Registeel is about to have a field day. Here comes the Zap Cannon number 1. This is going to hopefully get that debuff and make the Carbink think twice about staying in. The opponent goes out of this matchup immediately after getting the debuff and saves the energy. Now, because we know they have Psychic Fangs and Breaking Swipe, they revealed the full moveset. This Registeel resists everything, and we are looking absolutely solid in this endgame here, as Mantine might not have much play. It might just end up being used as a third shield at some point, but at some point we are going to have to start shielding this Registeel because it will get low from all of the Psychic Fang debuffs and the Dragon Tails. We're looking to swap out immediately now into the Mantine, and the important thing about this is that this swap clears the debuffs from the opponent's moves here. Gonna be able to farm down. The Carbink's not getting any energy. All this Registeel has to do is land a couple of moves. We shield up the first move and probably the second as well, because the opponent going for the Rock Slide bait here, knowing that the Registeel probably has to shield something at some point. So now is where it's going to start doing so. Zap Cannon not going to get shielded by the Carbink. The opponent is going to try to go for a no shield on that, but the thing is that Carbink has a high defense stat but an overall low HP stat. So you can see on the screen the lock-ons are actually quite quickly depleting the HP of the Carbink, and that's a good game. Well played. All right, getting into the next game here. We are going to have Mantine on the lead versus Registeel. What do you do against Registeel? My goodness, I didn't even think about it, because Registeel should be banned in the Great League Remix, let's be honest. Opponent is going to have to think about whether this is a Water Pulse or not, but it doesn't matter because it knows it can survive once. They probably don't shield. It's just an Aerial Ace because we're running Ice Beam. Forced to give up a shield on the potential Zap Cannon. Feels bad, man. Zap Cannon is going to do a lot of damage, but now the important thing, though, is that that Aerial Ace and those wing attacks have brought Registeel into Focus Blast range. So it can safely eat one Focus Blast, but this Registeel's Focus Blast would do enough to knock out the opponent, so they're going to be forced to shield this if they want to keep the Registeel. And they decide to let it go. Now it's going to come down to who gets to the Focus Blast first. I believe that was charge attack priority. They should pace at the same time, but we read the swap, and unfortunately, we commit to the Focus Blast. Oh, I've done it so many times, and it never feels good. The opponent gets a full farm down of the Registeel, and there's really nothing on this team that can tangle with a Jellicent with that much energy. Mantine's going to come in to do its best to try. Maybe we can get Swalot to do a nice little sweep, but that Registeel is not, it's healthy, man. It's healthy enough that even the Swalot might not have a good time. But let's see what happens here. I could be surprised. Never know what's going to happen. We're going to see this Mantine go for as many Aerial Aces as it can, looking to try to get a charge attack priority tie, but Jellicent does have a higher attack stat, which means it's going to win that tie. Going for the Shadow Ball. All that's left is the Swalot. Can Swalot make it win here. Can we get to it? The opponent just going for charge moves. This is probably just a Surf here, but Surf is still going to do some decent chip damage. We have to save the shield for that Registeel, and unfortunately, all the damage here is resisted. I would probably go for the Stab Sludge Bombs here. Stab meaning same type attack bonus. That would have actually KO'd this Jellicent, I believe. The Sludge Bomb does do more damage than the Ice Beam in these neutral situations. Now the opponent comes back in with a Registeel. They have a move. Swalot has to shield, and I don't think that Swalot's going to be able to do enough damage with all this resisted charge moves here. It's going to need like 3 Ice Beams to even have a chance at KOing this Registeel, and that probably isn't going to do it here. Two Ice Beams, but because there's no shield left, opponent's going to be able to get to it. That's sort of a rough comp. Like, once in a while, you just hit something that beats most of your team, and that's that. But good attempt, very well played here to try to get around that Registeel. Getting into the next battle, we got some absolute Spice Lord play here in the lead on the opponent's team with a Hippowdon with Sand Attack. Now, they do have the Rock-type Weather Ball, which does allow it to hit for super effective damage, but it's only a Weather Ball, so it's not high-powered by any means. But we're full sending the Ice Beam with hopes that the opponent maybe calls the Aerial Ace, and they do! The opponent letting it go! That's a lot of damage! Taking out the Hippowdon. They have a Froslass in the back, and this is actually not a good idea for the rest of this team, because even though Registeel does fairly well into Froslass at the same, HP and energy and all that, it's not going to do very well when the opponent has a chance to go for more energy. So shielding up this move, knowing that the Mantine can outpace the Froslass, might be helpful here in this matchup, as the opponent's going to be forced to go for a shield of their own. Perhaps we catch an Avalanche on Registeel. No. Excuse me, this is going to be another charge attack priority tie. The opponent was able to outpace and get to the Avalanche at the same time here, but now it's going to be up to whatever comes in. I don't know. We just come in with the Registeel. The opponent's going to be able to get to that Shadow Ball before Registeel is able to get to a charge move. This is very dangerous because Shadow Ball does a lot of damage to Registeel. It does almost half. Froslass is a strong Pokemon in the Great League, and now in comes Ninetales. Is this Alolan Ninetales? I assume it's Alolan Ninetales. They're going to eat the Zap Cannon. Now, you could come in with Swalot. You could get a farm down. Registeel's going to bank a move, and in comes the Swalot. We've seen how much damage the Psy Shock does. Is it possible to get a full farm down with this Swalot? The opponent has the Psy Shock. Now, the resisted charms, we're going to have to see. Can we get this farm down? I don't know if they can get the farm down. I think Ebabear agrees. They're going to go for the Sludge Bomb here and try to get this knockout or a shield. The opponent letting it go, and all they have left is this Ice Beam. The opponent is going to have to force, get themselves up to 2 moves here in order to win, and that's not going to be enough because they are not going to be able to store these moves and be able to get to the both of them before they get farmed down by these mud shots. Avalanche going to go ahead and take out the Swalot, and Registeel is going to pop back in with the move it saved, forcing out of this game. That, my goodness, my brain just had a stroke. Forcing out Froslass from the game. There we go, I got there. Another great lead. Mantine into Chesnaught. Now, the opponent might have Thunder Punch on that Chesnaught, so they're going to have to be careful. Going for the chip damage here of the Aerial Ace into this Mew before maybe swapping out into something like the Registeel. Opponents usually are running Wild Charge Surf on Mew. That's just a normal moveset. It typically allows you to have the broadest coverage in the Great League, so they're going to go for the Surf here. That looks to be the case. The opponent looking to fire off another Surf here. And I don't really know that this is really an issue. Like, Registeel is the only thing on this team that doesn't want to see that Chesnaught. So if you're able to get shield advantage here, you could even let the Mantine have fun. Or, I mean, Swalot does well into the Chesnaught as well. It really is going to come down to whatever's in the back. Now, can we get to another move before the opponent farms down? Able to hammer off this Focus Blast. That's going to force a shield or potentially get the opponent's Mew out of here. They're going to take 2-0 shield advantage, but the opponent is probably packing Wild Charge. That means Mantine is going to be forced to shield. Swalot's going to come in right now and start to put pressure on this Mew. Going to look to farm up a bit, not even bothering to shield. Absolutely just saying, you know what, you want to throw something? Go ahead and do it. The opponent going for a second move. This is probably another Wild Charge. They typically like to build up the 2 and throw them off. Wild Charge is going to get the first shield of the game, but Swalot now taking advantage of the 4 times debuffed Mew to get that full farm down. The Chesnaught comes back in. This tells me that the opponent has a better answer in the back to the Mantine, and that's why they came in with this Chesnaught. But the thing is that better answer to Mantine going to be able to handle? Yeah, it probably is going to be able to handle, and that's unfortunate. Going for the Ice Beam again, that Sludge Bomb would hit harder because it's got that same typing. And if you, again, one of those things that if you're not aware, if your Pokemon has a move that is the same type as it gets a small multiplier on damage, so it actually would allow the Sludge Bomb to do more damage, I believe. If you guys, if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that Sludge Bomb does more damage in these situations where both are neutral, both are resisted, etc. But in comes Mantine. The opponent having no shields to the Mantine's one shield is going to allow it to basically just go for the game here. This is going to be an Aerial Ace. Nice timing here by Evabear, going for those 4 wing attacks before firing off the Aerial Ace into the Jellicent. That's going to get it low enough where, honestly, doesn't matter what the Jellicent throws here. It's going to be a good game, as these wing attacks are going to be enough to farm down the Jellicent and finish the game. The opponent knows it. They decide to hit the top left button and concede the game. And we're going to get into the next one. All right, getting into the next game, we got Mantine against Poliwrath. The Dream lead, the opponent likely to swap out, and they go straight into Jellicent here. This is dangerous. Coming in with the Registeel allows you to get to Zap Cannon, as one Zap Cannon is going to be pretty much enough to just completely knock out the whole Jellicent here. Opponent full setting the Shadow Ball, not bothering to try and bait, going for the Zap Cannon. If you land a Zap Cannon against Jellicent, you can pretty much just farm it down afterwards, and the opponent knows it. They're going to take shield advantage, but the problem here is that they're going to have to shield right back when this Poliwrath comes back in, because Registeel is going to be able to go for a Zap Cannon, and if it gets a debuff, it might be able to reach another one, which is really dangerous. So here comes the Poliwrath, most likely going straight for that Zap Cannon against the Poliwrath. Makes sense. This is what I would do, especially in this situation. The opponent going to forcibly shield. No debuff here, unfortunately, which means Shadow Poliwrath gets a full farm down of the Registeel before it gets to a move. But that's okay, because Mantine can really tank these moves really well. The opponent has the Giratina Origin, a trainer after my own heart nonetheless. This is easily an O-Shield here. I don't even think they built up to the Shadow Ball. Never mind, they did. I lied. They built up to Shadow Ball. But the nice thing here is that this Ice Beam is going to do super effective damage. It puts it, if they land this Ice Beam, they either get the shield and then they land an Ice Beam later with their own Mantine, or the opponent, you know, is essentially just being farm range of the Mantine. So Ominous Wind probably could have survived the Ominous Wind, if I'm being honest. I think Swalot would have been able to survive that, but that's okay, because the opponent's still going to be forced to throw a move here before the Swalot goes and gets to another move here, and they don't. They just go for it, the full farm down, which is what they would have needed. But now in comes the Mantine before the opponent can even throw a charge move. Maybe they were expecting to farm down in this situation, but Mantine's going to get these Aerial Aces off, and the opponent really doesn't have any play here, and they decide to concede the match knowing so. Well played. Getting into the next game, another Dream lead. We love to see Poliwrath on the lead with this team. The opponent coming in with an Alolan Ninetales safe swap. Registeel is going to come in and hard punish this thing. Nothing that the Alolan Ninetales can do is going to be able to put much harm into this Registeel. Now, they are going to probably go for the Dazzling Gleam. Makes sense. It is the hardest hitting move in the Alolan Ninetales arsenal, and that means it's going to be able to do a bunch of damage before taking this Zap Cannon to the face. But now the question is, can we fully farm down before the opponent gets to another one? They fire off at the last second. Is it going to be enough? Evabear says, I'm gonna live this no matter what. It's another Dazzling Gleam. They live it, and now this Registeel has a move ready for the Poliwrath. This is the best case scenario, because you can just shoot off at a Zap Cannon, force the shield, and maintain switch advantage. So the opponent's going to come in with a Venusaur, showing their third Pokemon before the Registeel fires off the Zap Cannon, and they're going to look to get a farm down with this Venusaur. Now, this could be dangerous, but the nice thing here is that we have Swalot, and Swalot resists everything on the Venusaur, the Sludge Bomb, the Frenzy Plant, all of it. So in comes the Poliwrath. The opponent has been completely RPS'd, meaning they've been hit with a game of rock, paper, scissors, where they've lost all 3 matchups, and unfortunately, I am one to know that all too well, as it happens to me more often than I care to admit. I'm usually the trainer on the other side of this. I'm usually the one getting myself beat into submission by people who hard counter my team, but that's neither here nor there. Evabear playing to this team very well. This team comp, you know, even though you may hard counter somebody's team, on some occasions, they're going to be able to break out of it and be able to outplay and possibly even flip the script on some of these bad matchups. But Evabear doing a very good job here of maintaining the proper switch advantage and everything that they need to be able to win this game. The Venusaur comes back in, but unfortunately, there's nothing that it can do in this situation because the here comes the Swalot, just gonna farm down, go for Ice Beams, doesn't matter, as the opponent is gonna go for their first charge move with the Venusaur. Frenzy Plant hardly doing anything. I would probably top left, and so have they. That's gonna be a good game, and that was honestly a lot of fun. Swalot, very interesting in this Great League Remix meta, having a lot of good coverage against some of the more common picks, like Alolan Ninetales, doing well into Poliwrath, able to handle even Giratina Origin, really nicely able to handle Gligar with that Ice Beam. Very interesting pick here in the Great League Remix meta. Let me know in the comments if you have any good spicy picks that you've enjoyed in this Great League Remix meta. And that's going to do it for me for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.